Imagine waking up in a place where the rules of the world you know no longer apply. Here, there are hundreds of floors stacked on top of each other, each with just 2 people. At the center of this strange vertical prison is a single, massive platform, descending from the very top, laden with food. Every day, it passes through each floor, stopping just long enough for the inmates to eat, before moving on. But survival isn't guaranteed. Those on the higher floors can gorge themselves on as much as they want, leaving scraps, if anything at all, for the floors below. And those who live on the lower floors? Many starve. Some die. Others lose their humanity.
Our story begins with a man named Goring, who suddenly wakes up in a cold, grey concrete room. Disoriented and confused, he slowly looks around, trying to understand where he is. The room is empty, just 2 beds, a sink, a toilet, and a large rectangular hole carved straight through the center of the floor and ceiling. Before he can process anything, he notices he's not alone. Sitting across from him is an older man, calm and completely unfazed. His name is Trimagasi, and unlike Goring, he knows exactly how this place works. As Goring struggles to make sense of his situation, Trimagasi begins to explain. They are on level 48 of a massive vertical prison. Every single day, a platform filled with food descends from the top, stopping briefly at each level. The people at the top eat first, and whatever is left continues downward. Then comes the rule that defines everything. You can eat whatever you want, but only while the platform is on your level. The moment it moves on, your chance is gone. And if you try to hide food for later, the system will punish you by turning the room either burning hot or freezing cold until you give it up. But the worst part isn't the hunger, it's the uncertainty. Trimagasi reveals that every month, everyone is randomly reassigned to a new level. One month you might wake up near the top, surrounded by more food than you can imagine, and the next month, you could be at the very bottom, with nothing left but scraps, or nothing at all. In this place, survival isn't about fairness, it's about luck. And Goring is about to learn just how brutal that reality can be. As the platform finally arrives on level 48, Goring gets his first real look at it, and it's overwhelming. Dozens of dishes, carefully prepared meals, desserts, fruits, more food than 2 people could ever need. For a brief moment, it feels like there's no shortage at all. But that illusion doesn't last long. Without hesitation, Trimagasi lunges forward and begins devouring everything in sight. He eats aggressively, grabbing whatever he can, stuffing his face with no concern for anyone else. Food spills everywhere as he tears through the feast like it might disappear at any second. Goring just sits there, watching in shock. He can't understand it. There's clearly enough food for everyone, if people would just take what they need. Instead, Trimagasi wastes it, contaminates it, and leaves it in ruins before it even reaches the lower levels. At first, Goring refuses to eat. Disgusted by what he's seeing, he tries to hold on to his sense of morality. But as the platform begins to move again, reality hits him hard. The temperature in the room suddenly begins to rise. The heat becomes unbearable, suffocating. Goring quickly realizes this is the system's punishment for trying to keep food. Desperate and overwhelmed, he has no choice but to throw away what little he tried to save. And in that moment, something inside him shifts. The next time the platform arrives, Goring doesn't hesitate as much. Slowly, reluctantly, he takes a bite. Then another. Not because he wants to, but because he has to. Because in this place, refusing to eat doesn't make you better than anyone else. It just makes you the next victim. As the platform continues its descent, the truth becomes impossible to ignore. By the time it reaches the lower floors, the food is destroyed, nothing but scraps, crumbs, and leftovers. And below, desperate prisoners fight violently over what little remains. This is the system. Not broken, but working exactly as intended. As the month comes to an end, Goring falls asleep, not knowing where he'll wake up next. When he opens his eyes, everything feels different. The air is colder. The room is quieter. And when he looks down through the hole, there's nothing but darkness. They've been reassigned to level 171. This time, when the platform arrives, it carries almost nothing. Just a few broken plates, smeared leftovers, and scraps that aren't enough to keep anyone alive. The reality of the lower levels becomes painfully clear. Down here, survival is nearly impossible. Days begin to pass. Hunger sets in. Slowly at first, then all at once. Goring grows weaker with each moment, his body shutting down, his mind drifting. But Trimagasi remains calm. Too calm. Until one day, Goring wakes up and realizes he can't move. He's been tied to the bed. Panic sets in as Trimagasi calmly explains his plan. He apologizes, almost politely, saying this is simply how the system works. He's done this before. And now, to survive, he's going to eat Goring, piece by piece, keeping him alive for as long as possible. It's not rage, it's logic. In this place, morality doesn't matter anymore. Only survival does. As Trimagasi sharpens his knife and prepares to begin, Goring struggles helplessly, completely at his mercy. The situation feels hopeless until suddenly, a violent blur crashes down from above. Miharu. The mysterious woman from the platform returns, moving with speed and precision. Without hesitation, she attacks Trimagasi, slashing him brutally and ending his life in seconds. The room falls silent. Goring is left trembling, still tied, barely alive, as Miharu calmly frees him. Without saying a word, she shares a small portion of food with him before continuing her descent into the darkness below. And just like that, she's gone, leaving Goring alone again. But this time, everything has changed. Because now he understands the truth. At the bottom of the tower, there are no rules. Only survival at any cost. After surviving the horrors of the lower levels, Goring wakes up once again, this time in a much better place. Level 33. For the first time, the platform arrives with plenty of food still intact. Clean plates, untouched dishes, enough for both inmates to eat comfortably. It feels like a completely different world compared to where he just came from. But this time, his cellmate is different too. A woman named Imagiri. Unlike the others, she isn't aggressive or selfish. She's calm, composed, and surprisingly optimistic. She even has a small dog with her, something Goring hasn't seen anywhere else in the prison. As they talk, Goring realizes something shocking. Imagiri used to work for the system. She was one of the administrators who helped run this place, but she voluntarily entered it, believing it was fair, believing it worked. Now, seeing it from the inside, she's determined to prove that the system can function if people would just cooperate. When the platform arrives, Imagiri doesn't rush to eat. Instead, she calmly takes only what she needs and then does something unexpected. She speaks to the people below, begging them to do the same. She tries to reason with them, explaining that if everyone only takes their portion, the food will reach even the lowest levels. That no one has to starve if everyone shows restraint. For a moment, it almost feels possible. But then reality sets in. The prisoners below don't listen. They shout back, insult her, ignore her completely. Some even mock her for believing in something so naive. The cycle of greed continues, just as it always has. And slowly, Imagiri begins to lose hope. The belief she once had in the system starts to crumble. The idea that people would choose fairness over survival fades away. Until one day, everything changes. Goring wakes up to a horrifying sight. Imagiri has taken her own life. Hanging from the ceiling, her body still, her hope completely gone. Goring stands there in shock, unable to process what he's seeing. Because in the end, it wasn't hunger that broke her. It was the realization that no one was willing to change. After everything he's been through, the hunger, the betrayal, the loss, Goring wakes up once again. But this time, something is different. He's on level 6. Near the top. Food is no longer a problem here. When the platform arrives, it's still filled with perfectly prepared dishes, untouched and abundant. For most people, this would mean comfort, even luxury. But for Goring, it feels wrong. Because now he knows what happens below. And this time, he refuses to ignore it. His new cellmate is Baharat, a strong, determined man who has only one goal: to escape. He's been trying to climb his way out of the system using a rope, but every attempt ends in failure. The people above betray him, proving once again that no one can be trusted in this place. That's when Goring proposes something different. Instead of escaping, they change the system. He convinces Baharat to join him in a dangerous plan. They will ride the platform down through every level, controlling the food and forcing people to take only what they need. Not by asking, but by force. The next day, as the platform arrives, they step onto it together. And the descent begins. At first, it's easy. The higher levels don't resist much, there's still plenty of food. But as they move lower, things quickly spiral into chaos. Prisoners become aggressive, desperate, violent. And Goring and Baharat fight back. They push people away, threaten them, even attack when necessary, doing whatever it takes to protect the food. It's no longer about kindness, it's about control. Level by level, they enforce a new rule. Take only your portion, or get nothing at all. For the first time, the platform isn't a symbol of greed. It's a weapon. And as they descend deeper, they begin to accomplish something no one thought was possible. They start saving food. Real portions. Enough to reach the lower levels. But the deeper they go, the harder it becomes. The hunger, the desperation, the madness. It only gets worse, and Goring realizes something terrifying. Changing the system might be just as brutal as surviving it. As Goring and Baharat continue their descent, the atmosphere begins to change. The light fades, the air feels heavier, and the floors become almost completely silent. By now, the platform carries only what they've managed to protect, carefully rationed portions, guarded through violence and sacrifice. But even that is barely enough for what lies below. Then, something unexpected happens. They reach a level that feels different. Empty. Quiet. Almost forgotten. At first, it seems like no one is there. Until Goring notices movement in the shadows. Hidden beneath one of the beds is a child. A young girl, weak, silent, and alone. For a moment, everything stops. Because this shouldn't be possible. Earlier, they were told there were no children in the system. That it was strictly controlled. But here she is, living proof that something about this place doesn't add up. Goring slowly approaches her, his expression shifting from shock to realization. All this time, they believed the message had to be something symbolic, something like the untouched panna cotta they had been protecting. A perfect dish sent back up to prove that the system had failed. But now he understands. The message was never the food. It's her. A child surviving at the very bottom of the tower. A symbol of innocence, of humanity, of everything this place has tried to destroy. Goring gently offers her the panna cotta, not as a message anymore, but as nourishment. Something real. Something she needs to survive, and in that moment, his mission changes. It's no longer about proving a point. It's about giving her a chance. Because if she can rise to the top, then maybe, just maybe, the system can finally be seen for what it truly is. The child ascends alone on the platform. Goring stays behind, leaving the girl as the symbol of hope. Her rise is meant to show the administrators and the world that fairness and compassion are possible, even in the tower. The platform is a chilling social allegory. It exposes greed, inequality, and the consequences of selfishness. Yet it ends with a glimmer of hope. A single act of morality, represented by a child, can inspire change. Who will carry the message next?